as I stood in front of the free throw line, I heard the clean sound of the ball going through the net, realizing I had scored 4 baskets in a row. And I wish I could tell you a lot of people were watching me while I did that. But it was just practice. If you're familiar with basketball, this might seem like not that big of a deal. But to me, having scored 4 baskets in a row was almost impressive. I felt a flicker of joy meld with hope. If I could manage to score just 1 more basket, I would not only complete the exercise more efficiently, but I would also prove myself that I could do it. And there I was, just 1 shot away from success. My heart was racing as I dribbled. I took a deep breath. The sound of the ball echoed as it bounced off the court. My palms tingled as I felt everyone's eyes on me while I prepared for my last shot. In just a second, the ball left my fingertips, spinning through the air. Before I reveal what happened, think about yourself being in the situation. That familiar feeling when success is right there within reach and the voice in your head is louder than anything else. Do you think you would have been able to make the shot? Or would your own mind just start playing tricks on you? Planting the seed of doubt, just like mine did. Would you be questioning your ability before the ball even left your hands? Looking back at that moment, I realized it wasn't my hands holding me back from taking that shot. It was my thoughts. But now let me ask you, how often have your own thoughts held you back? As human beings, we constantly fear. We fear failure. We fear something unwanted or undesirable happening, and therefore many of us tend to overthink. According to Healthline, an average person can have up to 60,000 thoughts a day. And the most appealing part of it is that around 80% to 95% of them are negative or repetitive thoughts. This means that every day we have to deal with approximately 57,000 thoughts telling us what we can do. Imagine then being surrounded by thousands of people telling you what may happen in the future. Would you listen to them? In those moments, we are faced with a choice. Either to keep on listening to those constant voices holding us back, or to face our fear and trust ourselves, believing that we can indeed be successful. But what exactly is a negative thought? According to Aaron Rodgers, a negative thought is defined as a self-critical or pessimistic thought that creates a sense of worthlessness. For instance, this happens when you start thinking like, I'll embarrass myself, or I'm not good enough. This way of perceiving ourselves can greatly damage our self-concept, which is the overall sense of identity created by beliefs, values, and thoughts. Oftentimes, due to external factors, people constantly view themselves negatively, damaging their own self-concept and thus leading to low self-esteem. But now, getting back to my story, as many of you might have guessed, I missed the last shot. What else could have happened when all I heard inside my mind was, you always get nervous in the last shot and everyone is going to watch you fail again. Even though I have been practicing the sport for a while, I still sometimes struggle to recognize that I am a good player. It's easy for me to see my teammates' talent, but when it comes to me, I find it hard to see that same spark reflected in myself. Every mistake I made shaped how I viewed myself, and over time, it undermined my confidence. Being an athlete has helped me realize how negative thoughts can quietly influence who we are and limit what we believe we are capable of. They create what psychologists like to call cognitive distortions, an automatic result of negative and irrational thinking, convincing you that those pessimistic thoughts are reality, even when more often than not they aren't. For me, it showed up in basketball. After many missed shots during practice, I started to accept failure as a part of my identity, leading me to stop believing in myself. Not because of a lack of skills, but because my own mind became my biggest opponent. Furthermore, because of this mindset, every time we face something disappointing, the chances for these thoughts multiplying and turning into cognitive distortions only increase. Imagine this. You fail a test. A negative mindset whispers, "You're not intelligent enough," or "You will just keep failing." As a result, you're not only experiencing the pain of failure, but you're reaffirming a distorted belief about yourself, making it a reality to your brain. And that's the danger of negative thinking. It can often occur at a subconscious level, and as Dr. Ehrenbeck discovered, this process is one of the key factors that lead to depression and anxiety. Fortunately, a mindset is never fixed, and it can be reshaped into one that fuels growth and possibility. The key to shifting, thinking towards a positive mindset, is learning to recognize that what our own thoughts make us believe is not always true. It's just a reality masterfully created by our brain. Because our thoughts and emotions don't just dictate how we feel at the moment, but they are capable of shaping the structure of our brain, which is constantly evolving, rewriting itself, and adapting. This is where neuroplasticity comes in. By frequently focusing on the positive or realistic thoughts, the brain is able to counter negative thoughts by creating new neural pathways or thinking patterns. Over time, these connections grow even stronger and more efficient, making it easier to choose to empower thoughts over the negative ones. Thanks to this discovery, several techniques have been developed by psychologists to achieve this change in people's mindset. One of the most common ones is the cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which helps individuals recognize and alter negative thinking patterns, leading to improved emotional responses. It enhances learning to recognize one's distortions in thinking that create problems, and then to reevaluate them in reality. Let's revisit the failing test scenario. How many of you have failed a test before and thought, "I'm just bad at this subject"? Well, me too. And it works as a perfect example of a negative thought to evaluate. Because maybe you did fail, but other factors could have contributed to that. Perhaps it was because you didn't study, or because you didn't pay attention during class, or you were simply having a bad day. This proves why you failed the test, but it doesn't prove that you're not good at that subject. By reaffirming this reality, we become able to change negative thoughts into positive ones. And furthermore, it helps us to continuously improve our overall well-being. By applying these strategies, our brain focuses on the positive, seeking for solutions instead of fixing on problems. However, CBT is not just about thinking positively. It is also about not ignoring negative aspects of our life, training the brain to maintain a balanced perspective of our environment, becoming aware of reality. And now, by achieving a healthy self-esteem, we are able to approach challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats for our identity. This is how we learn to build confidence, which is made through experience and the way we see ourselves in moments of challenge. It emerges when we place ourselves in situations that are unfamiliar and learn that we can remain present. By reaffirming this, people can encompass a sense of worth regardless of external circumstances, and are able to believe they can perform specific tasks or handle diverse situations. Confidence is often associated with improved performance in several areas, but particularly in terms of persistence after failure. This shows how confidence paves the way for resilience to emerge. With resilience, you learn to acquire a sense of persistence and perseverance, no matter what you may be facing. It involves the ability not to be afraid of failure, and understanding that you can learn from your mistakes. Remember the story I told you where I was about to take my last shot? Where the voice of doubt whispered in my ear I couldn't do it? Where I was sure I couldn't do it. This voice, which I believed was true for a long time, disappeared when I decided to silence it. I confronted the reality of those thoughts and finally understood that they do not define who I am. My negative thoughts shaped how I viewed myself, but I chose to see through those thoughts and let them go. Throughout life, we will constantly face these challenges, questioning if the shots we take will score or not. But even if we fail, those missed shots are just a part of our past, and don't have the power to affect your future anymore. So the next time you hear that voice of doubt, regardless of the outcome, take the shot anyway, because your mind is powerful enough to shape your reality, and you get to choose what kind of reality that will be. Thank you.